welcome as well. So if you do want to share anything in that moment, feel free to put your hand up. But to begin with, we're going to have a period of healing where you can sit in your own healing power, in your own light, and just visualize yourself in that healing light, in that presence of spirit. And then we'll take opportunity. You can just raise your hand and call out any names for people you'd like to receive healing themselves. And then once we've had that period, we'll have the medium. We'll have David's philosophy. And like I said, I'm a very big fan of David's. I don't want to embarrass him. But when I first started attending churches and developing myself, my mentor sort of made sure I paid attention to David, because he's got a very, very lovely style, a very good way of taking something very mysterious, mystical and complex and making it fit for everyday life, how we live our lives in harmony with our spiritual truth rather than have it be separate. And that's something I used to take from David's talk, so I'm looking forward to that this morning. So with that, I'm going to ask David if he can open us in prayer. Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you very much. Well, good morning, friends. Oh, you can do better than that. Let's try that again. Good morning, friends. Good morning. Just making sure you are still this side of life. That's always a good start. Before I do the opening prayer, let me just assure you that Stephen and I haven't colour coordinated today. I know it looks like they've got the spirit uniform on, but it's just the way it worked out. Okay. Let's just take a few moments now just to join with one another and that power of the Great Spirit. Great Spirit of love and light, we acknowledge and give thanks for the wonder and the beauty of this day, for all those days that have preceded and all those that may follow. We acknowledge that ever-present, gentle, guiding influence and inspiration which seeks to guide, to inspire and to uplift us as we journey through this earthly physical life. And as we join here now at this time, we do so with the memory of those who have gone before us, foremost in our minds and in our hearts, as we think of those loved ones who have passed beyond this physical life to those realms of light. And we open that doorway once more, inviting them to step forward, to share this time with us, that there may be that true communion of the Spirit, where those messages may be given and that demonstration shown of that great and eternal truth, that there is no death but that of the body. We acknowledge also the presence and welcome those ministering guides and helpers who enable and empower that communion and who come forward with your words of inspiration, of upliftment and of truth. And we welcome them too into our hearts and into our minds, asking that each person here present may be touched in some way by your light and by your love. And so, Great Spirit, now as always, we leave this service in your care and in your keeping, knowing that as we do so, that all that may be said and done will be in accordance with thy light, thy love, and thy truth. Amen.
Amen. And now we have a moment for our healing, but first we'll share the Lord's Prayer, that prayer that links us with our ancestors and our Christian brothers and sisters around the world. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us all from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Now this is a period of time for you to sit in your own healing energy, in the power of your own spirit. Just take that few moments to fill up your cup with light so that you can help others. Sit in that beautiful energy and see yourself as your God sees you. Sit in this harmony of spirit. We think of those loved ones, both here and hereafter, who are in need of healing. If there's anyone you'd like to send healing to, just raise your hand, call their name. Thank you. Divine Spirit, we ask you to take those intentions, that love and that healing energy from Spirit, send it to where it's needed the most, bringing comfort to those in need, both here, hereafter, and throughout the animal kingdom. Amen. Now, with that beautiful energy, we ask David to come and give a demonstration of his mediumship. As you all know, please answer very clearly yes, no, or maybe. And there'll be a moment of reflection afterwards if you wish to share anything about the message. So, David,
Thank you, Stephen.
Thank you.
Well, good morning once again. It is an absolute delight to be with you. Always a joy to come to Poole. And for what is an experiment, for the last 16, 17 years I've been working on platform. I've never worked in this particular order, so it's new ground for me, new territory. So do work with me, yes?
Yes.
Yes, good, excellent, brilliant. I'd like to start, I do feel drawn to the lady right at the very back. Yes, just there. Yes, can you see me? Yes, yeah, you. If I could come to you, please, because I'm very much aware of a gentleman here that's with me. And I have to say, first and foremost, I feel I want to be connecting with a father or a father figure. This man, I feel, would have been quite elderly before he passed. And I do feel that, bless him, he's gone through the ringer. That's how it feels. I feel utterly depleted and sort of shot away physically with this man. So I know he's had to endure physically a great deal before he would have passed. As I said, he does come across to be elderly. I always struggle with ages because I feel I don't hear as such. But if it was late 70s, early 80s, that's the kind of ballpark I want to be in with this man. Can I just check, you understand so far?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm very much aware that this a man would have had a very natural and abounding love for you, because I feel as though my heart is pouring out to you as he's here with me. I know this man would be a very a gentle man. I know this man would be very patient in his nature, very tolerant. And he's telling me it's stuffy in here, which, you know, it's warm, isn't it? But I feel very much this man would have been a man for the outdoors, because that's where my heart is. Open fields and open vistas, that's what chimes with this man. I do feel very naturally as though the man would have a dog with him, because I've got a dog by my side here. Could you place like a Labrador kind of sized dog?
No, my sister had one.
Okay, it wouldn't be a black one, would it?
Yes.
thank you. Okay, because I was aware of a black Labrador that's up by the side, and I assumed it was with. Can I say this is Dad? Because that's very much how he makes me feel, Dad. I know very much you would have seen eye to eye with your dad. You're like two pips from the same seed almost. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because there's so much, what he's showing himself of me is so evident in you. That's what he's wanting to acknowledge. And his heart is abound with pride and joy and love for you. You would understand that that would be needed of late. It's, you know, sometimes we can have life like that, and sometimes it's like that, and sometimes we're a bit all over the place. Well, he's making it clear to me that of late it's been a bit all over the place, and it's been a little bit like being lost at sea or being a bit adrift. You could understand. The name Peter's just been called. I'm not saying that's your dad's name, but hopefully you should be able to place. And a George. Have a little percolation. If it pops in later, let me know. But if not, that's some homework for you. There should also be memory of caged birds. I don't know if I've got canaries or budgies or something. Could you understand a memory of budgies, canaries, that kind of thing? His sister again. Okay, she has a lot of animals, doesn't she? The dogs and the budgies. Okay. And I know your dad was a man of good humour because he's having a little chuckle here with me. So I don't feel he would have naturally been disposed to this understanding when he was on this side of life. I feel more, I'm not saying he was a religious man, but he'd be more inclined to be on the orthodox kind of outlook. Does that make sense? And he is abound with joy when he realised the reality of this understanding, that he was, as it were, dead but still very much alive, and he's still sort of tromping the hills. You know, I feel I'm out there walking. That's where his heart is. So can I leave your dad's love with you, please? It is just that simple message of bringing that reassurance that he's been aware that things have been a little bit testing of late, but he's been around and you know, always will never be far from you. That name George has just come back in again, so do have a little ponder. All right, can I leave your dad's love with you, and thank you for working with me. Thank you. Okay, we're carrying on, and then we'll do the reflection. Quick drink of water. Must keep rehydrated, mustn't we, in this weather? I come to the lovely lady here. I know we've spoken before, but I can't remember your name, so forgive me. If I may come to you, please. I'm very much aware of a gentleman that's with me. It was Father's Day last week, wasn't it? But I feel very much fatherly with this man. I feel a man who would be, I want to say, I'm having to stand up straight and improve my posture, but I want a man who would have carried himself very well. There's a steadiness and a great sense of composure with this man. You know, some people can have flights of fancy, but this man, I feel, very much walked, if I could say, like the middle path. So this is not a man of extremes. I feel a very reasoned man. I feel a man who would have been a clear and a logical thinker. So if you came to this man with a problem, he's the kind of person who would consider, mull it over, and then give an answer. So if you needed advice, his advice would be worth taking. Yeah. It's very much that kind of sense. Can I just check in? Is this making sense so far? Yes. With the character of father? I do feel a taller man than myself. I feel fuller.
I would say probably about the same.
About the same height. Okay. Well, I'm certainly feeling I need to stand up straight. You'd understand this is a man who would have taken care and pride in his appearance and in his, say, his presentation. That wouldn't be just in his physical appearance, but that attention to detail, that care would be evident throughout all parts of his life. Yeah. So not a man who would cut corners, not a man who would, 12 o'clock is 12 o'clock. It's that kind of sense. Does that make sense? Yes. Okay, thank you. It's invariably a day for dogs when I'm working, because I've also got a dog up here. But this is, again, it's Labrador Retriever kind of size, but I want more of a light coloured dog as opposed to a black coloured dog. If it's not for you, we'll find out who it is, because Spirit sometimes use the dog as the next link. So you can't place the dog at the moment. Okay, so we've got a light coloured Retriever Labrador dog. We need to find a home for, possibly in a minute. Okay. You know, I was saying your father's a very clear thinker, very rational, in my mind, very logical. Would I be right in saying you would understand that around yourself at the present time there's been that need for clear, careful thinking?
Yes.
That there's a situation that would require that, not making rash decisions, not being rushed to go this way or that way, but that sense of needing to sort of stand still for a moment and to weigh up the options. And I feel very much your dad's been around, because he's been bringing that quality, that essence around to help, okay, in making that, well, they can't make decisions for us, but to influence and to guide. As your dad's still here, I'm aware, would you be able to place, I feel naturally I want to refer to this lady as a grandmother, but I've got a lady here who would be quite short, quite petite in her build. But I know this lady has a very wiry sense of character. This is somebody who would be, I feel, very capable, very independent. First impressions, people would kind of say not take the lady seriously, but would possibly underestimate this lady. But beneath that mild, meek appearance, there is somebody of great fortitude. Does this make sense to you, with either a mother or a grandmother?
I'm not sure if it's my mother or my gran.
Do you understand there being problems either with legs, mobility issues with the lady? Does that narrow it down? No. Okay. I'm conscious of the time. I don't want to dwell on this lady. But I feel this lady has just come in. She stood by the side of the other gentleman. As I said, as you put them side by side, this lady is considerably smaller than the gentleman, and certainly in build. But would I be right in saying this lady would have had, when I say had the eye, I'm not saying she was necessarily a medium, but would have been very, very intuitive, very, very perceptive. Does that make sense? Your mother. Okay. Would you understand that if I was to say you need to be careful something doesn't pass by your eye?
Okay.
You know, relating to what I was saying about your father and needing to be careful, be considerate around whatever's going on at the present time.
We're thinking of moving.
Okay. Well, I feel this lady, whether she's mum or grandmother, I'm sorry, that's not clear to me at the present time. But I feel, as I said, she would have been very perceptive in her nature, and she would not be one of these people who you could get something past.
Yeah.
So it's that sense of just checking all the I's and dotting the T's, or whichever way it goes round. Okay. Can I leave their love with you, please? Know that they are bringing their help and support around with this testing time.
Yes.
All right. Thank you for working with me. Okay. Could we come forward to the, I'm not sure if you've got a green dress on, but the lady just, yes. Is it green?
No, it's black.
Oh, well, close.
It's got flowers on it.
I'm a man and I'm partially colourblind, so that's my excuse. We only see in primary colours, but
Okay.
so forgive me.
I was very fond of a Labrador.
Okay.
Light-coloured
Oh,
Labrador.
okay. Don't tell me too much at the moment, but
No, just confirm.
yeah. I'd forgotten all about the dog. I've got to be honest. But I feel I do need to come to you. I'm aware of a gentleman that's with me, and I feel first and foremost this gentleman, he is so down to earth, so grounded, so matter of fact in his ways. A spade is a spade, black is black and white is white.
That is correct.
And I feel very much his outlook in life would be an amplification of that. You know, it's this way or it's that way. Make your mind up, make your choice, and be happy with what you've chosen.
Yes,
It's
very
that
much
kind
like
of
that.
character I feel I have with this man. And as he stood here with me, he's all a bit bemused by all this. Well, I feel very much what he would have called nonsense in his day, because I
No,
don't.
he was a spiritualist.
He was a spiritualist. Okay, forgive me, because I feel, as I said, bemused in some way by all of this.
It's probably a different way of working.
Maybe. Okay. Well, forgive me if I've reversed that, but everything else you understood so far, and you can place
Yes.
the dog.
Yeah,
All right.
definitely.
Okay. I'll have to speak to him quietly later and say, "Come on, what was going on there?" Okay. Do you mind if I take my jacket off, because I'm starting to get rather warm? I've described this man as being very straightforward, very, this is how it is, and this is how that is. You would understand also that in many ways you share a similar outlook with
Oh,
this
definitely. Yes,
gentleman.
right.
And it's not, the superficial is not for you. It's
No.
understanding and it's depth that you are looking for. That's what he's wanting to
Confirmation.
acknowledge.
That's- yeah.
And okay, would you understand? Because he just said to me, you've turned over many stones.
Yes, I have.
So it's that looking for understanding, looking for meaning, looking for belief, whatever it is. He's very much aware and is sharing with me that there has been this pursuit on
Yes.
your part of wanting to discover.
To get judgment.
Yeah. Okay. Well, whatever it may be, that's where he's taking my mind to. This may tap into what may be shared a little bit later in the address. But if I was to say to you, you might understand that lots of those places you've been looking have been out there as opposed to in here. Does that make sense?
Yes, possibly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Would you understand if I was to talk about an anniversary, a significant anniversary towards the end of December? It's just taken my mind to December. I knew it wasn't
End of
Christmas.
December. Christmas?
Sorry?
Christmas?
It felt to be more after Christmas, in that that last sort of closing days of the month.
I can't think for the minute.
Okay, have a little ponder and see if that comes back in. I know gave the name Peter before, but could you also place Peter for me?
Yes, Peter is a cousin, yes.
Thank you. All right. And just finally, would you understand or you should understand, I trust, this gentleman is talking about writing,
Yes,
and there's a need to pick the pen up again
yes, yeah.
for yourself.
Definitely.
You would understand that
Yes.
words have been written and it's kind of come to a halt, but there's an encouragement there from them to please to please pick up the pen, because it's not finished.
We
They're-
type everything these
All right.
days.
Well, I know, but figure of speech, pick up the pen. So, wanting to encourage you, please, to pick up the pen and to get that going again, because there's a
done it.
lot more that needs to come forward.
Yes, I've done it.
All right.
Thank
Brilliant.
you so
Okay.
much.
Thank you, and I'll let you take the dog as well. Otherwise, you'll be
Yeah.
coming home with me.
Thank you.
Could I just quickly come to the lady here? I'm not sure whether are you two together?
Yes, sisters.
Okay, sisters. All right, thank you. Because I feel I have a gentleman here that's with me, and I've got this sense of breathlessness with him. I feel as if I've, had the wind taken out of my sails. So whether it was some kind of emphysema or a cancer, I'm not sure, but I just feel I'm having to work hard this morning to get my breath, and that's how he's making me feel. I don't feel this man, if I say I don't feel he's especially elderly, but if he was elderly, he would be a man that if he was 75, he'd be more like a 65-year-old, and if he was 85, he'd be more like a 75. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So his actual age and how he was as an individual don't sit together well.
That's
I
right.
mean, I'm 95, but I don't feel it. But no. He's got humour as well. He's got a good sense of humour, because that was, I felt, was him sort of just diving in on the end of that there. Bless him, he went through a lot, you understand. And not only he went through a lot, but you'd understand you went through a lot as well. And there's this sense of pain that he's carrying because of the pain and what you had to go through. Does this make sense, please, in the way that you support, the way you supported? But he's wanting to say, you know, it's okay now. That was then, that was the body. He's not that body.
Yeah.
It's, you know, he himself as he was, always is, and always will be. That's in essence what he's wanting to say. I know the name of Alice is being called. Could you place Alice for me? And I do feel would be, he's referring to somebody that he would have met up with in spirit, in and around family. I don't know whether there's any sort of family history you could possibly check into, but I heard Alice there being called very clearly. And would I be right in saying also there'd be a birthday that's either just passed or is just round about this time?
James.
Yeah, because he's wanting to. He didn't miss it, has he?
No.
All right. It's just.
Friday.
Sorry.
Friday.
Friday. Okay, brilliant. Because I had this sense of this birthday that he wanted to acknowledge, but it was also like, oh, I haven't missed it, have I? You know, there is no time in spirit, you know that, but he's clearly aware and wants to just remind you. I do feel whether he would have naturally enjoyed a drink, but I want to be chinking glasses definitely with him. And there is this lovely sense of optimism. This is Dad,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, I said with your dad. Because I just feel, even when all this nonsense was going on with him physically, he may have had a bit of a grumble and a groan and what have you, but he was the eternal optimist. It was always going to be better. It was always going to be a brighter day.
Yeah.
And it's that sense of optimism that I feel very much your dad is wrapping around you at the present time, because there's been that need for that. You should also be able to place for me a connection or a link with a river or being nearby a river. Does that make sense? Either with yourself or with your dad?
Yeah.
'Cause
yeah,
he showed-
definitely Mersey River. Yeah.
The Mersey, oh,
Yeah.
I'm not far from there either,
No.
the Wallasey. So he was just showing me a river, and I needed to acknowledge this this river. Like I said, he has got a good sense of humour. If I was to talk to you about you needing to get your dancing shoes back on, do you know what he's talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes when spirit give that as an expression, it can be, you know, literally get out and go dancing again. But more often than not, it's a figure of speech. It's symbolic, you know, to recapture, rekindle that sense, the energy, the love of life. All right. So whichever way you can take that, that's what needs to be said. Get your dancing shoes back on.
Thank you.
All right. Would he have described you as girl, as a term of endearment?
It's girls, yeah.
Yeah.
He always just says girls.
Girl, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just felt, as I'd said, get your dancing shoes on, I wanted to put girl on the end of it, and it's not something I would naturally say. And just quickly before I need to bring this bit to an end, would I be right in saying to be a gentleman, I feel a taller gentleman, who would have passed just like that? Could you place that for me?
It could be one of his brothers.
I feel a fairly tall man, but he wouldn't have been particularly elderly. I just feel he's just gone like that.
He had a cousin that was killed in an accident, just like that. He was tall.
Okay. He's not communicating as such. He's just literally come into my awareness. He just sort of stood there, and I'm just very much aware he's not an elderly man, but he would have gone like that. But he is connected with your dad. Yeah. All right. So maybe he's just having a little kind of trial, a little kind of rehearsal to see if he can come through another time. So can I leave your dad's love with you? What a character, an absolute character. I could easily spend all day with this man because he's such an optimist, positivity, and just an easy character. He's, you know, would get on with anybody, talk to anybody. It's very much that kind of feeling with the man. But he's You know, you may have felt as if you'd walked in these doors on your own, but he'll be arm in arm with the pair of you as you walk out.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank
Can
you,
we stop
David.
there? Yeah?
Sure.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Well, so being someone who loves mediumship and is sort of studying it all the time, sort of looking at all the individual messages, but the one thing they all had in common from the beginning was this relationship, this love energy that we feel as mediums come in. And people often ask, how do you know what you're working with? How can you be sure? That love is unforgettable. It's the same feeling you had when they were here in life. It's familiar because they're family, they're loved ones. But even those people that touched our lives in other ways, it's interesting how they come in. And I noticed with the first message, it was a father, and that love was there before anything else, you know. And every single message, they've managed to demonstrate knowledge of things that have happened since they passed in your life, around your life. And the ladies, your daddy came through towards the end there. I take it he must have been chomping at the bit, and he would normally be the first person to speak up, but I take it he's a gentleman and he lets everyone else go first.
Real gentleman.
So that's, you know, without the medium having to say it, there's evidence of his character working as he's here, not just a memory, you know. And there are moments in there where I think everyone who received a message has something to think about, to ponder on. There's talk of loved ones, people around the family, cousins, etc., that you may not normally think about. And then we go home and we start thinking about those other people in our family that we don't often think about, and where they've come from and where they've gone in life. And that's very much a part of our own spiritual journey. Did anyone who received a message, is there anything you would like to share from that?
It's just come to me actually that Dad had a relation that fell from the library building and died. Just, like I
Yeah.
said, just gone. I think we were thinking of yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
I suppose those events in our life must have significantly impacted him
Yeah.
and made him think about
It was
things.
way before my time, but it's literally just come to me.
Yeah.
So thank you.
Wonderful. Lady there, your lovely family came through and offered quite a lot of love, and you seemed very comforted by it.
Yes.
Felt them with you.
His character was just, as David said,
Yeah.
upright.
So
Yeah.
do you feel the warmth from them while they're working with the medium? You know, you
Yes.
really feel their intention, and it's not a perfect science. Yeah, I always think of it as you're the only as a medium, you're the only telephone at the airport. They've all just landed and want to phone back at the same time, and you've got to somehow work with all these energies. Yet they manage to get across not only their survival, but their intelligence and the way that they can guide you and love you from beyond that change we call death. So anyone else would like to comment?
I think it's spot on about my dad. I'm still not sure about the George. He liked George Formby.
Yeah.
It's to do with that. Spot on with everything.
Lovely, thank you.
Thank you.
It's nice that he's nearby as well.
Yeah. Well,
Okay, for me, I had a friend who had a dog called Pippa, and she was a Labrador, and when she passed, it hurt me more than anything else.
oh yeah.
But my dad always had Alsatians, and they're similar size to the Labradors, I'm sure. He was very much of a wind-up character, so he was an ordained minister of the Spiritualist Church in Staines in Middlesex. So he was obviously taking the mickey out of the way that you're actually working.
Yeah. Well, I would have thought also.
That was the connection there.
Well, I find that quite evidential in a way, because right now there's a lot of, it's unfortunate, but there's a lot of uncertainty in the union and in spiritualism, and I'm sure he's probably referring to a lot of that as well.
Yes.
You know, we're supposed to all be brothers and sisters.
Yes.
There seems to be a bit of unnecessary friction,
Right.
and I wouldn't be surprised if he was talking about that as well, because that's what I wouldn't be surprised if he was talking about that as well,
Yeah.
because we really, you know, we're all on the same page.
Oh, yes.
But
very
human
much so.
beings, when we
Yeah.
get together in a committee, we can't help ourselves.
That's right. And he's talking about justice and moving forward. I'm going through a very, very difficult situation at the moment.
Right.
And he's telling me to write more. I wrote this morning and I'm hoping everything will be fine.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Brilliant. Is there anyone who might have in the past received a message they didn't quite understand, yet in the weeks and months that followed it all turned out to be true? I mean, I've got several that I can think of over the years where you get a message and you think, oh, I can't really take that, I don't really know that name, and then things transpire and you realise there was this whole other side of life that was happening that you had no idea of, but spirit are aware. So feel free if anyone wants to share one of those anecdotes. That's all right.
Just before philosophy.
Well, I know that I've had so many of them, and it's the synchronicities, and I'll just share something quickly. Lawrence, that you all know, is the president of this church and an animal lover who will take in any stray cat there is. Well, yesterday morning, before we were going to leave up here, for me to fill into his shoes for the weekend, I would wake up, go into the bathroom, and there's this black cat in my bathroom who's climbed in through the window and was cowering away, so we fed it, looked after it, and made sure she was all right. Of all the things that could happen at all the times, and you be careful whose shoes you fill, because there's other responsibilities that come with it. I know Lawrence has been working his magic this morning. We nearly had no power. Everything went wrong just before we started, but everything's going smoothly now. So thank you, Lawrence, wherever you are. And now we're going to have some music and a collection, time to just reflect on our experience this morning. You're welcome to sing if you're able.
Every anxious thought that steals my breath, it's a heavy weight upon my chest. As I lie awake and wonder what the future will hold, help me to remember that you're in control. You're my courage when I worry in the dead of night. You're my strength 'cause I'm not strong enough to win this fight. You are greater than the battle raging in my mind. I will trust you, Lord. I will fear no more. I will lift my eyes, I will lift my cares, lay them in your hands, I'll leave them there. When the wind and waves are coming, you shelter me. Even though
I'd like ask David to give us his philosophy, where mediums of all the experiences we've had, we should have learned something in our experiences, what's inspired us to help us grow, and mediums like David can pass that on in such a beautiful way. So thank you, David.
Steve, thank you. When I was first booked to take the service this morning, originally it was going to be a Lyceum service. And I checked with Laurie last week sometime if he still wanted that to go ahead. And he said, no, just a regular kind of philosophy thing. But in my heart of hearts, I was kind of on the slight Lyceum page. So there's going to be a slight historical element to what I'm going to share with you. Time-wise, I'm going to have to cut down what I was going to share with you as the reading. But I do want to read from something called the British Spiritualist Propaganda Hymn Book, dated 1939, which belonged to my grandmother, who was a working medium all her life. She was a child medium, worked through literally to the day she passed. And I'm right at the very back of this little hymn book. Amazing piece of history, 1939. Went through the war and everything else since then. Right at the back of this little book, it's called Spiritualism, How to Commence Investigation. And I'm just going to read the first paragraph for you. There's more to it. I'll maybe copy it and put it on Facebook at some point for those who might be curious. I also need to say it is a tiny little book and the print is tiny, so I'll just have to be careful reading this. If there is an earnest desire to gain a knowledge of the truth of spiritualism, it is by no means necessary to go to some far-off public medium. The family in which there is not at least one member possessing this gift is the exception. The investigation of spiritual phenomena is best conducted in the home circle. It is there the departed love to return, and anxiety to receive on our part is met with an even greater desire to communicate on theirs. Sensitiveness, or the mediumistic faculty, is possessed by all in varying degrees and is capable of cultivation. There is nothing miraculous or mysterious about it. Sometimes a member of the circle that gathers around the table for the first time is found to be mediumistic, and communications are at once received. This is not often the case, however, and several attempts may have to be made before results are obtained. So there's a lot more. I will publish the rest of it on publish. It sounds very pompous and grand, doesn't it? I will photocopy it and whatever, screenshot it and put it on Facebook. As I was reading this little book, and I've got a collection of papers that I inherited from my grandmother. She passed, I think it was in 1968. My mind went back to 1939, to that kind of time period. And I was trying to put myself in my grandmother's shoes, as if I could time travel back to 1939 when she was a working medium and tell her what mediumship and spiritualism is like today. Could you imagine that kind of journey, as it were, that you could make? First and foremost, if I tried to explain to her in 1939 that here we are in a spiritualist church today and the service is being broadcast literally around the world, I think that would be the first hurdle to overcome, because I believe it would be too fantastic for somebody back in 1939 to imagine that such a technology would exist, and yet here we are. The other thought that occurred to me back in 1939 is one that would have been, I believe, at the back of her mind quite often. And that thought was that up until 1951, she could have been arrested at any time she stood on the platform or did healing or did a private sitting in her own home for being a witch. Yes, truly. The Witchcraft Act of 1735, I believe it was was still on the statute books until 1951. So what we are doing today, what I'm doing up here, and Stephen is an accomplice, we could have been tried and found guilty of witchcraft. Unbelievable, isn't it? But that was the reality. Also back in 1939, there wasn't the Arthur Findlay College. There wasn't YouTube. There wasn't any number of self-appointed teachers and gurus, all with their own little YouTube channel or their website and all the rest of it. There weren't celebrity mediums with managers and publicists and promotional agents. There was none of that. And yet, if you speak to people of that time, there's not many of them around, but if you speak to them and if you read the records of that time, the mediumship of that era is regarded as being, you know, at its best. Had some incredible mediums and, you know, incredible demonstrations of mediumship by which, you know, today's standards, including my own, pale into a very, very, very pale insignificance. So how is it back then that they had this wonderful standard of mediumship and these wonderful demonstrations of physical mediumship, of inspirational speaking, of inspirational writing? Estelle Roberts, one of the mediums of that era, filled the Royal Albert Hall on 3 nights in succession. Could you imagine that? If you've ever been to the Royal Albert Hall, that being filled to capacity on 3 consecutive nights. It's wonderful you are here. We've got about 20, 22 people hereabouts. But back in those days, churches were overfilled with people attending. So what's not gone wrong? I'm not going to say what's gone wrong. How and why has it changed? Well, I think the answer is first and foremost in that very first paragraph. Because what does it say? It says if you're interested in discovering the truth of spiritualism and mediumship, don't go off to some far-off medium or some other source out there. Sit in your own home and ask the Spirit. And that's fundamentally how mediumship in days gone by developed. Not through online teaching, not by going off and doing a course, by sitting in your own home with Spirit as the teacher. And I'm guilty of this myself. When I first started developing my mediumship, I had this sense that there was something out there that I didn't have, that I needed to get, and once I got it, everything would fall into place, everything would be perfect. And I spent probably a good 10 years of my life in pursuit of this thing that I didn't know what it was, that was out there somewhere, that some course, some medium, some teacher would gift to me in exchange for a lot of my money. And it took me quite a few years to realize that what I was searching for, what I was looking for, was not out there, but it was in here. It was me. I was, in its essence, looking for myself. Not in a physical sense, but you could say in a spiritual sense. Because who and what are we? Well, we are spirit, first and foremost. And one of the other things that's become apparent to me in recent years, you know, we speak about development, we speak about transformation, we speak about, you know, developing the gifts, becoming more able. That may be part of it, but in my belief, in my estimation, what we should be really interested in is a process of revelation. If you like, a process of remembering who and what we are. Because I fundamentally don't believe that any of us are without whatever it is that we need. We already have it within us. As I said, we are first and foremost spiritual beings. We came into this life equipped with all that we need to face whatever the challenges of this life may throw at us. And yet our first instinct when we are confronted by a situation that we find challenging or difficult is to look without ourselves, to go without, to go and ask somebody else's opinion. Or maybe that's just me, I don't know. But hopefully you're on the same page as this. You can recognize this tendency. We defer. We have lost, if you like, in some way that ability to be independent. We speak about the pioneers of mediumship. And what does a pioneer mean to you? For me, a pioneer is somebody who goes into uncharted territory with courage, with confidence, with curiosity. Has it ever occurred to you that you are the pioneer in your own life? Because the day that rests ahead of you now, you've never walked that day, ever before. Yes, you may be familiar with the territory, you may be familiar with the people, but the day that rests ahead of you, you've never walked that. But it can be all too often the case that we kind of fall into a pattern of being. We fall into our comfort zone. We become a little bit kind of numbed down to the joy and the wonder and all the opportunity that this life affords us. So I guess the message today hopefully is something of I'm preaching to the converted, but not necessarily a wake-up call, but a reminder of this incredible capacity that we have, first and foremost as an individual, as a spiritual being. And if we can allow ourselves the privilege and the opportunity, even if it's only a couple of times a week, just to withdraw our attention from the outer world, just to allow ourselves the privilege of just simply sitting in our own space, in our own time, with our own spirit. And if there is something that is troubling us, if there is something that is perplexing us, how about try this for the next week, or if you want to be really bold, to try it for the next month. Resist that temptation to go and ask somebody else for their opinion. Don't ask other people for the solution, but to ask yourself and to ask Spirit, how do I go forward with whatever this is that is challenging me? Because I'm convinced that the mediumship, and I'm not talking just specifically about mediumship, but the mediumship that approach generated, the standard of mediumship that was produced by that openness to the Spirit, by that willingness to engage with them, by that willingness to sit patiently and listen to their counsel, paid great dividends, because we look back with great fondness, with great keenness to the mediumship and to the demonstrations of that truth of spiritualism of years gone by. So if that approach can produce that outcome, I'm inviting you to consider what outcome can be produced, what outcome can be manifested in your life when perhaps you turn your focus inward to your own spirit, to the reality of the Spirit that walks with you. Don't let the communion of spirit be confined to your time when you come and sit in the church. There is no reason, as the reading goes on to say, that we are all imbued with that potential for mediumship, because we are spirit. We can be and should be our own medium. The best thing that could happen, in my belief, is for me and for Stephen and for every other person who describes himself as a medium, is to write their own P45. For mediums to become redundant. Because when that day, if it arises, what that will mean is that there is no need for mediums, because people themselves can be their own medium. People themselves have come into that realization that there is no separation, there is no division between this world and the next, that they are living in one reality, and that our loved ones, those who have seemingly gone before us, are literally as close to us as our living breath and our beating heart. So if you're needing an aspiration, let that be your aspiration. And you can let me know the next time I come down how it's worked out for you. So I will close with that thought. Thank you.
That was wonderful. All the questions that arose in his talk, he answered them all in his summary. You know, it's the spirit begins and ends at home, you know, where we sit. We don't need to invite lots of people to sit in a circle. We can have that circle of one with spirit. So thank you, David. And with that, I would ask David to close us in prayer before we all go home our separate ways. David.
Great Spirit of love and light, as we draw our service to a close now, we do so with humble and heartfelt thanks for this time, this space, and this opportunity to have joined together in that spirit of friendship and of love, and to have experienced that communion of those of our friends and loved ones who have gone before us. And we go forward now back into our daily lives with that reminder, with that assurance of their presence as they walk by our sides and seek to guide, to inspire, and to uplift us. We thank also for that presence from those who have our interests at heart, who seek to bring their influence around us, that they may encourage us to walk in those pathways of light, of love, and of service to one another. And we ask that we may each be guided and inspired to move ever closer to that fullest, most perfect realization of our spiritual power, our potential, and our purpose, that we may become that brightest example of your light and of your love. And so, Great Spirit, we leave ourselves now forever in your care and in your keeping, safe until we meet again. Amen.
Thank you all for coming. Thank you for those joining us online, and a very special thank you to the healers and the helpers that made this morning run so smoothly, and Todd with the tech support. So thank you all very much. Have a safe journey home. Yeah, it's so simple, isn't it? Home circles.
Yeah.
Clear the table, clear your mind, turn the phone off.
Yeah, I'll be getting this far from the SNU advocating their demise, but
It's such a shame at the moment, because I've withdrawn a little bit.
yeah.
Stay out of the way.
Yeah,
Of course, we've all got an opinion, but you know, it's not a very good shop front. And, everyone involved on an individual basis, I've had a lovely interaction with. But together, they just can't seem to